What is it? Thursday. Happy Thursday night, listeners. I swear to you all, these COVID days have every day of the week running together. So it's Blur's Day, right? So this is the podcast where we talk life, love, and literature. I'm author Sierra London, along with my co-host, author Elle Loren. We are Women on Word. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much for following the podcast. And you can follow us at some new sites today. So Spotify and YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts and Castbox. And we're so excited to be growing. And tonight we have debut author Kristin Joy Greer with us. Kristin, you on the line?
Hi.
Hello.
So glad to be here. Hi. So glad to be here.
Yes, we are so happy to have you. So, Kristin, tell our listeners a little bit about who you are, what you write, and how long you've been writing.
So, hello, everyone listening. My name is Kristin Joy Greer. Sierra already mentioned. It's funny that you said debut author because I technically have just begun writing last year around this time. So I released a book just in April 2020, and I released a journal back in October of 2019. And so I am working on my next book, my third book. I'm just super excited to be on this journey as a writer and author, and it has been a very, very interesting experience.
Oh, okay. That's like a loaded word, right? When you say interesting experience. I'll have to let Lisa get into that. What does that mean?
I know. I used to hate that word because it's just open to interpretation, you know. But if I could share, I started writing because in May of 2019, my mother had a massive stroke, and I was away in Florida on a trip, and I got the call, and this modern technology, I even unfortunately got to see her in the ER on FaceTime. And I just remember feeling this overwhelming panic, this level of anxiety that shot through the roof. And so I flew all the way. I'm from Chicago, so I flew from Florida to Chicago, and I got there. But on the way there, I began to experience this overwhelming peace over my life. And it really began the journey. I was with my mother for 2.5 months. While she was in rehab and she was recovering, and she got out of ICU and went to rehab, and that's how this book, I Have Peace, and this whole movement had begun.
Wow. Okay.
Well, Kristin, tell us, what does peace mean to you?
Great. Yeah, so peace is an action word to me. Peace is declarative, and I believe that it basically is not just a state of being. I definitely think it is a state of being, but I also think it is a weapon. Peace has proven to help in many situations, many experiences, not just for my own self, but with other people, and also in environment. So I think that peace has this trifold sort of experience with yourself, with others, and then even with your purpose and why you're on this earth.
Wow. Okay, you've said a lot for us to unpack. Okay, so I'm gonna back up a little bit because yeah, I am. I'm gonna back that thing up. So you were talking about peace being an action word, and for you, for your own personal journey, that action came out of, a personal tragedy, out of a loss, and you described this sense of panic and anxiety. But what would you say, and I haven't been through the full journal, I'll be candid about that, but what would you say to our listeners who that's not the experience they've had, but they still have this unsettled feeling in their life? Like you don't have that tragedy or that hurt to tap into, yet you still don't feel that peace in your life. Does the journal speak to that?
Oh, absolutely. So, first and foremost, you don't have to have a major tragedy to happen to need peace. How about driving in traffic and experiencing someone cut you off? I don't know about you all, but I need peace in those moments. Or perhaps when the children are taking forever or doing things that they have no business doing, we need peace in those moments. Or what about on the job? When the colleagues or the coworkers are talking and the boss is nagging, you need peace. And I think that, we so often kind of think of peace, and I'm speaking for myself. I don't want to, displace on anyone, as kind of like this hippie thing, where it's like peace, calm. But really, I think that peace has way more power. And so we allow sometimes, like even, in society, right now, COVID-19 has kind of caused all of us to stop, take a moment and breathe, hopefully, for those of us that are not essential workers. We have been in a position where we can see how our peace has been disrupted, or maybe being at home, your peace is even further disrupted because the kids and the husband or the wife, right, all of this stuff may be happening in the home. I think that this book speaks to anyone that is interested in adopting a lifestyle of peace. Storms come, you can handle it. A pandemic or two, you can handle it. And not only for yourself, though, because I think that's what's really important. It's for everyone, right? It's important that, even in situations where you can bring peace to a circumstance, right? It may not even have to do with anyone, but we all are going to experience loss, death. We're all going to experience grief and pain. And so in those times, absolutely, peace is important. But sometimes when the bills are due, when you're trying to figure out how you're going to get the publishing money in and how you're going to make ends meet, we need peace at all times. So this book, to me, is for everyone that is interested in exploring peace within yourself.
Okay. Well, tell us how you settled on the 20, because your book is titled The 21-Day Peace Journey. How did you settle on 21 days?
Sure. So this book is actually written on biblical principles. And this book is written as a faith book around how to activate principles from the Bible around peace. So 21 days. I was actually in a hotel room in Florida. Again, I went back to Florida after my mom's stroke and she started feeling better. And I just began to envision the process. Researchers say that it takes 21 days to at least form a new habit. And so by settling on the 21 days, it's basically like get the habit going, that your life will be a life of peace. But the next book is going to be a little different. It's going to be a little more days, to really experience this harder topic, which is how to have peace with other people. So the first thing, though, is how do you master peace within your own self? How do you deal with yourself? And the only way you can do it is by consistency. And the 21 days kind of gives you that. It's like that consistent day by day. And in the book, there's a devotional it's written as a devotional, but it's also filled with, prayers, declarations, and actions, steps you need to take to really unpack how to have peace with yourself. Because I think so often we want to jump to how to have peace with other people. But if you don't have peace within yourself, you're warring with other people and you don't even know it because you're already warring on the inside. So this book, 21 days, kind of packs it all in of how you focus on you.
Okay. So, what I hear you saying when you speak is that you're actually walking out what you're talking about. And I love that. I can hear your passion coming through as you're talking about this 21-day journey to peace. But I'm going to go back a little bit deeper to actually the author in you and not the person walking it out. These days of peace, because a lot of newer authors do not find peace in trying to get the words out of their head and onto the page. So I have to ask you about your journey in just getting the words that you're telling us out of your head and onto the page. Like,
absolutely.
How was that? Tell us about it.
Right. So this is a pretty big book, right? So I was thinking the same thing when I put it together, Sierra. I'm like, how did this all happen? But let me tell you, I wish I could tell you all that it happened right after the stroke. And I was like, let's get right down how to have peace. It didn't happen that way. I actually live in New York City, and I commute by train. And so this is months after, my mom's experience. And for 21 days, I got on the train. I opened up my iPhone. I went to notes. And I started typing for one day. Whatever I was experiencing or feeling in that moment, I wrote it down in my notes each day for 21 days. And I put, references, and I put comments, and I added specific things. And so I'm an educator, so a lot of times I'm always thinking, and I'm always thinking how to teach something. So it kind of came, some of the days weren't always as simple. Like some days I was like, this would be a good thing to talk about, but then I had to come back to it. But for the most part, it was every day. It was an everyday, as you said before, I think that the best authors are those that have lived and experienced, especially if you're doing motivational self-help, right? You can't tell people how to do something if you haven't lived it or aren't living it. So I consider myself to be a student of peace, right? Because this is not something that I'm going to ever tell anybody I've mastered. I'm kind of just sharing my journey with you. And saying, try it out. You know what I mean? Try exploring this journey. And it all started on a subway. I'm sorry, on the train, under a subway, in the subway, on my way to work, in a school where often there doesn't feel like there's a lot of peace.
Yeah, I bet, in school. Now, touching on that, earlier you were discussing in your definition of peace that peace is a weapon. Give us an example of what you mean by that.
Okay, no problem. So actually on day two of the I Have Peace book, I start talking about the adoption. And I basically start off telling the story. I had a friend who had, infertility challenges. Her and her husband had been trying to have a baby, and they decided to go with a private adoption process. This process required them to get referrals. They had to pay for the mother's living expenses. Like, there was just this whole journey, and I kind of connected that with how we are to adopt peace into our lives. It taught me a lesson, right, when it comes to adoption. It's a process. And so often I think we think, I got to get to a place. Whether it's, I want ultimate love, right? I want this love that's going to cross mountains and go up mountains and cross seas. But it's almost the same thing with peace, right? It's a process, right? A lifestyle. It's not just something that you're going to just click on like a television and you just in the groove. And so I think about the journey to adopt a truly peaceful lifestyle, especially within ourselves, and how the journey is going to be filled with trials, circumstances, and our own personal enemy, our inner me. But through it all, we have the potential to either be dragged through life's challenges or to peacefully walk on top of them. And so when I say that peace is a weapon, I'm talking about peace as a weapon in tough times, right? Peace is a weapon like right now when people unfortunately are dying due to a virus. How many people need peace right at this moment? How many people have experienced a loss of someone due to this virus? Or what about the racial injustices that have swept through this country yet again, virally? What we need is peace as a weapon and not peace as a reactive answer. We need to be peaceful as a weapon. And so it's a pursuit. Lauren, it's a pursuit of God's peace and a decision to refuse to live without.